Hi everyone, welcome back to the second video in our mini tasting series. We recommend if you haven't watched our first tasting video to do so because we'll be building upon some of the notes that we gave you in that video today. So we are going to walk you through three of our more complex Napa Valley estate oils today. We have Double H, Jaeger, and our Napa Valley blend, and they kind of build in complexity. So before we go ahead and dive into the actual tasting, do you want to kind of explain what makes an olive oil complex and then go from there?
Yeah. So in our previous video, we talked about the positive characteristics of an olive oil, the fruitiness, bitterness, and pungency. And so a more complex oil is going to score on the higher end when it comes to all three of those attributes. So last time with our Wallace and Boucher olive oils, we mentioned how they were kind of buttery. They didn't have a ton of bitterness or pungency, that kind of feeling in the back of your throat that makes you want to cough. And so these oils are going to have a higher presence of all of those things, which we'll kind of walk through as we taste the olive oil.
Yes, and the reason why so many of our olive oils are considered more complex is because we harvest really early in the season. So we're typically out there in mid-November, sometimes late November, depending. But most importantly, we harvest when the olives are predominantly still green, which it preserves the polyphenols and all of the antioxidants that you hear about when people say that olive oil is so good for you. It's because of those compounds. So we harvest the olives when they are green and still have a very high level of those polyphenols, which contributes to the bitterness and pungency that you feel in the back of your throat and on your tongue, which we'll walk through now, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we have three, I'm going to taste one, Kay's going to taste one, and then we'll do our final most complex oil together at the end. So I guess I'll take Jaeger.
And I'll take Double H to start.
Sounds good. And we won't spend nearly as much time warming them up this go around. Let's just get on into it.
And again, in our first video, we kind of go through really step by step the process of tasting an olive oil. So if you haven't seen that one, it's good to go back to get a refresher.
If you're interested in
if you're interested,
tasting.
We're just kind of going to go through and talk about what we're experiencing with the oils.
And Kay's tasting Double H Ranch, which was actually the first orchard that we harvested this past season. You want to talk a little bit about the harvest?
Which is also really special because we've been working with the Harder family who own the orchard that we harvest for Double H for years and years. So it's really special to be able to kick off this new relaunch of the company with their orchard. And so this oil has really nice smell to it. So I'm getting a lot of grassiness and a little bit of green tomato and also maybe a little bit of artichoke in the nose. Definitely a lot more complexity to the fruitiness that I'm getting in my nose than with the Wallace and Boucher that we tasted last time. What about you, Em?
Really green grass forward with Jaeger family, and also a little bit of the artichoke, I think. I'm not picking up so much green tomato with this one, but it's definitely very grassy, which is one of my favorite characteristics of an oil because it gives you that really fresh feeling whenever you smell it or taste it, really. So you want to do yours now.
There it is.
Waiting for
the pungency coming through. Just give me a second. So I'll start with the fruitiness since that's really the first characteristic that will become present on your tongue when you're tasting. So it was actually a little bit less fruity in my mouth than I anticipated given how it was smelling. But I still did get a little bit of tomato, maybe a little bit of artichoke, but I think I was mostly getting that in the nose. But then the bitterness and the pungency, obviously, which you saw with my coughing, came through a little bit stronger afterwards. I think there was probably the bitterness and pungency are a little bit stronger than the fruitiness. But it has a nice balance, overall very well balanced. And even though I was coughing a good bit right there, I took a lot of oil into my mouth. So I think that it's it's actually not one of the stronger pungencies, but it definitely has a presence. It's kind of middle
Need
range.
some water out here.
Yeah.
Yep, there's the pungency. This one, Jaeger, it's really bitter. Obviously pungent as well. I'm getting a lot of the green grass that I talked about on the nose, in the mouth as well. But overall, I think this one is one of our most bitter oils. It's well balanced with the pungency, but that bitterness really comes through as well. Which, just a side note, I like to pair bitter olive oils with dishes that have garlic in them. We've been doing an olio e olio very often lately, which is just like a garlic and olive oil pasta dish. But pairing a bitter oil is really nice with that because it complements the garlic. And it's just such an easy weeknight dinner.
Yeah.
You just throw a pack of spaghetti in a pot and you have a meal for like 4 people. So we actually have the recipe for that on our website and our Instagram. And I would highly recommend making that. It's one of my favorite dishes of the week.
Yeah, it's good and easy.
Yeah.
Which is great. And then other than that, with the more complex oils, I really like just using them as finishing oils or as a really simple dressing for a salad. So just have, just pour a little bit of the olive oil with maybe a squeeze of lemon and salt and pepper. And you really don't need much else on a salad because the characteristics of the olive oil kind of create almost its own vinaigrette.
Yeah, I would say these olive oils are really like the star of the show when you're cooking with them. So another way that we like to use them, since we're talking food, is just a big charcuterie board and kind of just have one or two of these olive oils as a dipping oil or something to pair with a soft cheese. We find like soft cheeses they absorb more of the oil. So we really like doing that with just French bread. That's what I would recommend as well for all 3 of these, really.
A good way to taste them too, if you don't want to go through the whole formal process, which really isn't necessary, is to just take some French bread and sop up a bunch of olive oil.
Yeah,
and
it's more enjoyable in the end to just eat it with bread,
and you'll still get a good sense of the differences in between oils if you use French bread.
Yeah, you can still pick up the complexities that we're talking about and all of the characteristics and subtle flavor notes because bread is so, it's just like a very good vehicle for olive oil. So maybe now we should wrap it up with the Napa Valley blend. Try our most complex oil. And we're really excited about the Napa Valley blend in particular because some of you may notice that we moved away from our California olive oil this season. And we used to procure olives from the Central Valley in California. But with this blend, we moved to 100% Napa Valley grown and harvested olive oil, which is really exciting for us. And it's really exciting for our mom, Peggy, who that was kind of one of her dreams of moving all of her olive oils designated to the Napa Valley. So with this olive oil, we were able to do that this year. And it just so happened to be one of our most complex oils as well. So with that, we're going to try. And this is a blend of Italian varietals, grown and harvested in the Carneros region.
The Napa, the valley floor.
A lot of green grass.
Yeah.
So this one, my favorite.
And there's a good bit of artichoke in the nose as well.
It almost smells like a freshly mowed lawn, like in the best way possible.
Yeah. I'm getting that.
I find this one's really well balanced.
Yeah.
And I find with the well balanced oil, it kind of hits your senses in a spaced out manner. So it'll hit your nose first, and then that bitterness on your tongue, and then it'll get you in the throat.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So this one is, again, very bitter and pungent, but I would actually say that Jaeger is a bit more bitter than this overall. How would you compare it to Double H?
It's definitely more bitter and more pungent than Double H.
What about fruitiness?
Actually fruitiness. I think on the nose, it's just they're very different. I think this one has a lot of artichoke in the nose. I thought this one had a lot of artichoke when I first tried it, but in comparison, this one actually has a lot more, and this is a little bit more of a tomato-y smell on the nose. And this one, the green grass comes through a lot more. So I think probably this one has a little bit higher fruitiness, but definitely bigger when it comes to bitterness and pungency. Even though I coughed a lot with this one, but I also took a lot of olive oil in, and I can feel the pepperiness in the back of my throat without the cough, with this one more so than this one.
So again, using an oil like this in something that contains garlic, like a pasta, or also, since I'm obsessed with olive oil cakes and just baking in general, I find that using some of these bigger oils actually gives a really nice complexity to whatever you're baking. And obviously the heat bakes out some of the qualities, but it leaves a very subtle finish that complements any sweetness of a baked good really nicely, I find. So I would definitely recommend using any of these to bake a cake or muffins. We can do olive oil muffins.
I'll have to try muffins.
Yeah, I saw a recipe for olive oil muffins. I need to branch out from the cakes.
I could see it working really well in like a breakfast muffin, those like morning glory ones that have carrots and zucchini in it. I think that either of these two oils would probably be amazing in that.
Yeah, we're gonna
have to try that.
Okay. So these are our remaining Napa Valley Estate oils, and we walked you through the last two in our prior video. So we are actually offering 20% off these 3 Napa Valley Estate oils through August 15th. We're going to use code Napa Valley for that. And we're really excited to be able to share that with you all, and also just to finish off our olive oil tasting series with you. We're going to continue either with the balsamic or the flavored oils, so expect more of these types of videos in the future. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoyed it and have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.